Did you know that mega movie star Wesley Snipes nearly produced and starred in a Black Panther movie way back in the mid-90s? Well, today I'm gonna tell you all about it in a little segment I like to call Greetings fanboys and fangirls, I'm Erod and I'm the Blockbuster Buster, and welcome to Legends of Fandom, where I discuss fanboy films and shows that almost happened. Now, while a huge blockbuster movie featuring the Black Panther in the titular role just came out, the character is still relatively obscure. Hell, I still catch people on social media referring to him as the dude that scratched Captain America's shield. So if you're one of those people who is not familiar with the King of Wakanda, here's a brief history that will help you appreciate the importance and relevance of this legendary character getting his own movie. The year was 1966. The civil rights movement was in full effect, and right as Gene Roddenberry gave us the first African-American character to be treated like an equal on American television, the dream team of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby gave us the first costume hero to receive the same distinction.
By the way, Claw, a common criminal like yourself has no right to use my proper name. Refer to me by my title.
The Black Panther is a title passed on from one worthy recipient to the other, but for the most part, only members of the royal family of Wakanda have bared the mantle. It is Black Panther's duty to lead and protect Wakanda, a highly advanced secret nation hidden somewhere on the east coast of Africa. The Black Panther serves as Wakanda's king, superhero, and religious leader. Each Black Panther is trained from infancy to assume the mantle. Their strength and reflexes are enhanced by consuming a heart-shaped herb that can only be found in Wakanda. And once they assume the role, they are outfitted with weapons and technology that are far more advanced than anything found on the rest of the planet. In other words, Black Panther is one bad mother. The comic book series follows the adventures of the modern Black Panther, King T'Challa, who becomes the Black Panther after the previous one, his father, is murdered by an assassin named Ulysses Klaue, who T'Challa eventually catches up to. T'Challa's adventures are filled with a myriad of memorable moments, which include but are not limited to single-handedly defeating the Fantastic Four, becoming an Avenger, and marrying his longtime love interest, Aurora Monroe, better known as Storm of the X-Men. Throughout the years, the character has remained an iconic symbol of inclusion and equality. Suffice it to say, Black Panther is one of the most important characters in the Marvel Universe, so it's easy to understand why anyone would go through extreme lengths to adapt him into a movie. Unfortunately, the early to mid-90s were not a good time for Marvel movies, as the few films based on their properties, namely The Punisher and Howard the Duck, were such financial and critical bombs that no studio wanted to take a chance with Marvel. But later that decade, Warner Brothers found much success with the Batman films, which created renewed interest in comic book films. So Marvel Entertainment put plans into motion to bring the King of Wakanda to the big screen by involving one of the hottest stars of the era, Wesley Snipes, who just so happened to be a huge fan of the Black Panther. Now Snipes was instantly on board, and not just because he'd get a chance to play one of his all-time favorite superheroes, but he'd also get a chance to show American audiences the more positive, beautiful, and technological side of Africa that sadly we were yet to see in Western cinema. And I quote, "Many people don't know that there were fantastic, glorious periods of African empires and African royalty. That was always very, very attractive. And I love the idea of the advanced technology. I thought that was very forward-thinking." So, you have most of the major studios interested in making a comic book movie, you have one of the most iconic characters of all time available for adaptation, and you have one of the hottest stars of the era interested in producing and starring in the film. So, why didn't this happen? Well, unfortunately, this was one of those cases where the production was plagued by one ridiculous roadblock after the other. For starters, any time that Snipes or the Marvel executives would go to pitch the movie to a studio, the studio would fall under the impression that they wanted to pitch a movie about the Black Panther Party, the civil rights group from the 60s. So, Snipes and Marvel would either get turned away by a studio that was not interested in making a movie about the civil rights group, or the studios that were interested would then be disappointed when Snipes and company would come in pitching a wacky superhero movie. I think even Captain Kirk would agree that this was a no-win scenario. Also, the fact that Mario Van Peebles was smack dab in the middle of producing an actual factual film about the Black Panther Party made matters even more difficult, confusing, and complicated. The second ridiculous roadblock came when everybody stopped to consider the expense of the special effects, as the technology to create said special effects for the movie just flat out didn't exist at the time. So, to put it plainly, this became too complex of a production requirement for most studios to undertake.
For an uncharted African nation, they've got tech that's decades ahead of anything we've got.
Eventually, Columbia was the studio that was 100% on board with Snipes and Marvel's vision. Then, it all became a matter of locking down a script. So after 3 different writers and many drafts, they settled on a version that made all parties involved happy, which was crafted by screenwriter Terry Hayes. In Hayes' version, the movie would have opened with a massive battle in Wakanda, which would culminate with baby T'Challa, the heir to the throne, being placed in a basket and sent floating down the river to safety, very much like Moses. Young T'Challa would then grow up without any knowledge of Wakanda, his heritage, or the Black Panther. One day, an adult T'Challa is attacked by a team of assassins, hired to end his family's bloodline. After thwarting the attackers, T'Challa would go on a journey that would lead him to discover his origins, the secret city, and his destiny as the Black Panther. Now, while Hayes' version might not be 100% accurate to the comic, I still think that it sounds like a pretty awesome movie. Unfortunately, most of the directors that they were courting to helm the project didn't agree. Especially Boys in the Hood director John Singleton, who wanted to steer the film away from the mythology and fantasy and more towards civil rights and social commentary. Snipes explains, and I quote, "John wanted to take the character and put him in the civil rights movement." And I'm like, dude, where's the toys? They are highly technically advanced, and it will be fantastic to see Africa in this light, as opposed to how Africa is typically portrayed. I wanted to see the glory and the beautiful Africa, the jewel Africa. I love John, but I'm so glad we didn't go down that road, because that would have been the wrong thing to do with such a rich project. Ultimately, Snipes and Marvel could not find the right combination of script and director. And smack dab in the middle of these difficulties, in 1996 Marvel went bankrupt. So Marvel Entertainment had to momentarily shut down operations. And that meant that any progress with the Black Panther movie had to be put on hold. So, were Wesley Snipes' efforts in vain? Actually, no. As around that time, New Line Cinema had just purchased the film rights to Blade, and were in desperate need of a bankable star to play the Daywalker. And Marvel just so happened to have a bankable star on their speed dial. And that, my friends, is how Wesley Snipes ended up playing Blade. So all's well that ends well. Snipes got to play an iconic black superhero, and Marvel had their first successful film franchise, which of course sparked the comic book movie boom, which is still happening to this very day, and also led to the creation of Marvel Studios and the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it all started with a failed attempt at producing a Black Panther movie, which proves unequivocally that while one door may close, another one will open. Now, I don't know about you, but learning about all the difficulty that Snipes and Marvel went through in their attempt to give us a Black Panther movie makes me appreciate the current Marvel Studios film all the more. But the question still remains, could they have possibly made a good Black Panther movie back in the 90s when the reputation of the Marvel movies was murky at best? Or is it all for the better that the movie was delayed until now, when comic book movies get the kind of quality and care that they deserve? Well, I leave that question up to you in the comments section. And while you're there, if you think of any unmade fanboy films or shows, feel free to let me know, or better yet, send me the information at erod@inbox.com so I can determine whether they are worthy of being a legend of fandom. Until next time, I'm Erod, and I'm the Blockbuster Buster.